भेज।
Is there anyone one waiting? कोई नहीं मतलब देख रहा मतलब।
मैं ही हूँ वन।
सिर्फ आप ही हो। इनमें पीछे।
Okay, so hi everyone. Apologies for the delay and the venue change to the panelists as well. We regularly inconvenience, but it was truly not in our control. Anyway, good evening. I am Arshad Verma. I'm Vice Chairperson for Bravo this year. And it is with great pleasure and enthusiasm that I extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you, including the panelists. Thank you for being here. We really welcome you here to the pre-event of the Youth Conference 2026, which is the flagship event of Ka-Ching and EJCon. The Youth Conference, which is now in its 6th edition, is not just a platform for discussion. It is the celebration of ideas, of dialogue, of discussion, where young minds converge to challenge assumptions, confront failing systems, and moreover ignite the transformative conversations that our world so desperately needs. As a part of our fest theme this year, that is the tipping point, well, let me just explain to you what tipping point is. Picture the 9 a.m. train from Borivali to Virar, or the same from Kalyan to CSMT. When did our local systems become so overburdened that it was no longer overcrowding but simply failure of our systems? When did our systems go from being crowded to becoming entirely broken? That moment and that exact truly moment is what we mean by a tipping point. Every economic system that we live in today, in our current day and age, it is at a point where change is no longer an option and incremental changes would no longer suffice. It is changes in the foundation that are needed. And every economic system, if the limit is exceeded, it will lead to our systems failing to function or even functioning partially. Essentially, there's a level in each system beyond which the system can simply no longer hold. So the tipping point is not merely a change, it's when change becomes unavoidable. Why do we come to a tipping point? It's because 21st century requires solutions that are not made for the 20th century. At Ka-Ching and EJCon 2026, we're not asking you to patch those cracks. We're asking you to reimagine the foundation in its entirety. And on that note, I would like to call upon our esteemed President, Isha Punjabi, to say a few words.
Thank you, Arshad. Good evening, everyone. It is my privilege to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to the pre-event of the Youth Conference 2026. Events like these are not only a prelude to the main fest, but also a celebration in themselves. An opportunity for us to come together to engage with critical ideas and to set the tone for the transformative discussions that lie ahead. Youth Conference has grown to become one of the most is a reflection of that same vision, dedication and collaborative effort that goes into making it truly impactful. Today's session is designed to spark thought, curiosity and engagement. And I'm certain it will leave each one of you with a valuable takeaway. On behalf of the entire organizing committee, I welcome all of you once again and wish you an inspiring and enriching experience this evening. Thank you. With that, I would now like to invite the directors of the Youth Conference and our moderators for today, Krishvi Bansal and Ananya Iyer.
Good evening, everyone. So we've all seen different narratives. The founder who drops out, raises millions, changes the world. The early employee who joins a rocket ship and retires at 30. These stories are real. So stories are real, but they're also rare. 90% of startups fail. Not because the founders weren't smart enough or didn't work hard enough or did not believe enough, but simply because they failed to understand the brutal math that most people only understand that they've already paid the price. Today, we are having a conversation that happens after the media moves. We are asking what actually separates the 10% that survive from the 90% that do not. Is it skill, timing, luck, or something else? We are talking about the real career characters. What a failed founder actually signals to your next employer. Whether the grindset mentality builds companies or just burns people out. When is equity wealth? And when is it just numbers on a cap table? This isn't about discouraging ambition. It's about making informed bets with your career, your life, and your health. Because the startup world needs more honest conversations and fewer romanticized. With that, I'd like to invite my co-moderator for today to introduce our distinguished panelists.
Moving on to the introduction of our panelists, Devav Raja Sir has been recognized as top 10 innovative leaders powering India's entrepreneurial ecosystem to watch in 2026 and India's most prominent entrepreneur making a difference in 2025. He is a Viksit Bharat ambassador promoting the vision of Developed Bharat at 2047. With over 22 years in financial services, Devav Sir is the founder of Venture Bull, a renowned speaker, mentor at forums like Hard Prize, and adjudicator for government-backed startup programs including NMIMS Atal Incubation Center. His vision is to guide entrepreneurs from idea to IPO, and his journey continues to inspire young founders nationwide. Has spent over a decade as an entrepreneur, co-founding and building Engage for More, where she experienced firsthand what it really takes to build from zero, uncertainty, resilience, and a lot of learning the hard way. Post that, she moved into Zazzle, a SaaS fintech startup, and currently lead business that scaled rapidly and eventually went public. So she's seen both sides of the startup journey, bootstrapping in the early years and scaling under intense performance pressure. Farzana Suri ma'am is a victory coach and leadership voice and heart winner. She has lit up lives in 28 countries, guided over 10,000 clients, including leaders in Fortune 500 companies, entrepreneurs, and startups. Born in the family of the legendary Urdu poet Mir Anis from Lucknow, Farzana ma'am blends grit with grace, insight with intuition. When she's not working, she doodles, lifts weights, or is lovingly ignored by strangers. Her big dream? To inspire over 100,000 lives a year. Because in her world, of all things that could ever win, a heart must be the most. Has nearly 2 decades of experience across investment banking, investing, and finance leadership. He started his career as an investment banker at JM Financial and then Jefferies, helping over 50 companies raise capital from private, strategic, and public market investors. He transitioned to a CFO role over the years and is currently the CFO and Head of Corporate Development at GoFi, a Series C funded health tech company. Gautam Das Sir is a banker turned entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Urjan Clean Tech. A former director at Citibank, he leads Urjan, a renewable energy company providing turnkey for solar solutions with flexible financing. Urjan has enabled over 300 megawatts of solar deployment, which is equivalent to plantation of more than 1.25 crore trees and mitigating 90 lakh tons of carbon dioxide emission over project lives. Gautam Sir grew up in a flood-prone village, began his education at a panchayat school, studied chemical engineering at IIT Bombay, and completed his MBA at the Indian School of Business. He is an ultra-marathoner, open water swimmer, and has a keen interest in farming and startup investments.
Thank you to our incredible panelists for joining us today. We are here to discuss a question that keeps us up at night thinking, should I start my own venture or join an established company? What makes this panel unique is that here they've all actually worked in established companies and built their own ventures. They've made the leap, they've lived with the consequences, and today they're here to share their experiences and perspectives about that.
To properly examine the choice between entrepreneurship and employment, it is important to start with the underlying risk. Before anything else, we need to acknowledge the statistical reality of startup failure. With that in mind, let us begin with risk and failure, the 90% reality.
So, as we've mentioned before, we all hear that 90% of the startups fail. But we mostly see success stories. For those of you who made the leap from stable corporate careers, how did you think about and prepare for the possibility of failure? We start with you, sir.
Great. So, thanks for that introduction, first of all. Yeah. Just to add to that introduction and to set a context of answering this question, right? I've done my MBA from Wellinghurst, post which I've also done CFP and FA from CI London. So I'm a certified financial planner and a financial advisor. Thereafter, I worked with companies like Capita, Willis, Prudential, all Europe-based companies for around about 12, 13 odd years. And then one fine day I said, I'm making it for someone else, right? Can I do it for myself? That's how the venture was started. And that's the only thing that I've done in my entire life. So I know nothing else but making these investments. That's the only thing that I know. So that's how my journey started basically. Was it easy? The answer is absolutely no, right? So any entrepreneur goes through ups and downs. That's what my journey is. That's how it started.
Okay, sir, so you've seen hundreds of pitches. What actually separates the 10% that survive from the 90% that don't?
I think it's persistence. Yeah. Things will go wrong when they happen. Things will go down south when they happen. How strong are you? Are you really ready to fight it back? Can you keep calm and still get things done from your team during that point? And I think these are the things. And over and over again, one thing is very, very, you need to be a strong-hearted or strong-minded entrepreneur. Right? Entrepreneurship is not for faint-hearted ones, let me tell you. Yeah? Things will go wrong when they have to. You have to be strong, you have to keep fighting. Every day is going to be a new day for you. Someday you will feel, wow, I'm so happy. And the other day you will say, maybe should I shut down my startup and go back to my job? That's what keeps you going forward.
Farzana ma'am, what are the emotional costs of entrepreneurship that people don't normally talk about? How should someone prepare themselves before founding their own startup?
Well, that's a very good question because one of the things about entrepreneurship is that nobody tells you that you are going to face rejection every time. Nothing is going to be easy. It's not going to plan up, in your lap. Because we see a lot of these wins that are glorified on LinkedIn. We see Shark Tank and we say, man, this is us, we can do it, it's no big thing, right? But there's a lot of anxiety that goes into it. There are lots of sleepless nights that go into it because it's always, we think we do it out of passion, but eventually we think about payroll before passion. Okay? We get up doubting ourselves, then are we doing the right thing? So somewhere in the heart of heart, you know that you are probably, this is what you're meant to do. Yeah, but there's always this imposter syndrome. There's always this 2 a.m., wake up that happens and your heart is beating really badly. And I think this is where you need to understand that while we talk about valuations, we talk about all of this, but what actually beats is, when you move into the startup or founder role, You think it is about how do I now change my lifestyle so that financially I'm stable. But I think what you need to understand is how will you budget your emotions. Because once you're able to handle your emotions, yeah, that is when the win happens. Because that means you need to rise above the situation at all times and look at it from a view that, you know what, this is happening to somebody. Now how am I going to guide this person? So you need to be that mentor sometimes for yourself, the victory coach for yourself, to say how can I do that. And I think we need to be very cognizant of our emotions, because emotions are what also guide us, it also leads us to where we are, but emotions can also sink us. So which emotion do you want to ride on is a decision that you need to make. That's what I would say.
Gautam sir, you left a successful banking career for starting Nutra. Looking back, did having that corporate experience and financial cushion make it easier to take the risk?
Okay. Good evening. Good evening. I just want to see how many people are listening to us. So how many of you are from the first year and how many are from fourth year? First year, how many of you? And anybody from fourth year?
It's third year.
Third year. Okay, fourth year guys are not here. Third year because of the program. Okay. So I have, as I said, I grew up in a remote village, and then parents worked very hard with IIT Bombay, and then I got to ISB and Citibank. But more money was earning. I mean, you know, the reality in a flood-prone village is different, and when you earn more money, you become more insecure. And I was still thinking that my money should grow and tummy should reduce. Or exactly was happening ulta with me, okay? So my tummy was growing and money was not growing. That's my feeling, right? So then you have to build something that, I mean, I say you have to build something as a banker or investor, no offense to anybody, you have to romance with return without minimizing the romance with risk. And that's what the banker was doing. And we thought we do other. I mean, let's take more risk. Can we build something from scratch? I think that's the kick I was probably looking for. And I was managing treasury for Citibank India. It's not good enough because I don't want to do it. And I was about to move New York in 2016 as an MD, but I decided, no, this is what I don't want to do it and to build something from scratch. And fundamentally, it's no emotion, but I to build something in electricity or environmental space, so there is a long-term sustainability impact. So to take the risk, we thought, two of my other batchmates from IIT Bombay, they came back from US, and I was scheduled to go, but I decided not to go. So we decided to take a punt and do something in ESG space, I mean environment or social impact related space. And we'll make money. That was not the objective, because we know that a lot of things will not work as per our plan. And as an entrepreneur, if you know everything after, probably on the wrong track, because they are very, very risk averse, right? So for this question, we have to take risk, build something from scratch. And we are money, of course, we want to earn it long term, but creating value was the first objective rather than making quick money. And as a team, we can say that more proud of the team than me. We are only startup probably reached 100 crore quick revenue without raising series and pre-series. So we identify people, I mean, who are, we said like horse, not the way. What is it? So one guy, I am very proud of him, the founding team member, he used to sell ice cream on the road. Today, that guy alone generates revenue which is 80 crore. And that guy is worth, he wants equity, never imagined, right? And so we connected to people who are ready to build something from scratch without money as the primary objective. Of course, that's a long-term objective we need to make, we're not doing any charity. So connected to people and we have to take risk and build something from the scratch. So that was the whole intent.
Aarti ma'am, you eventually transitioned from being a co-founder back to corporate. Can you share what factors influenced that?
Okay, so I've seen both sides of the spectrum. There was a lot of risk in what entrepreneurship is. First, I would want to start with, do you all study marketing? Yeah. Have you all studied 4 P's of marketing? Yes. Yeah. I would want to talk about 4 P's of entrepreneurship. Okay. First is purpose. whenever you start something, unless you have a purpose for what you are working towards, and like Gautam mentioned, there was a purpose that they want to build something in clean energy. There was a reason why, because from the background that he came from. So purpose is very, very critical. People fantasize this word called passion in entrepreneurship. Passion definitely is there, but passion can take you either way. So for that, keeping that in track, you need the third P, that is called perseverance, which Farzana spoke about. Perseverance is the third P. Extremely critical, because there are times when you hit rock bottom. Absolutely rock bottom. EJCon has seen that. Okay, we were nearly bankrupt. From there, at times like this, for that matter, why there? Rather today, and I want to share that today has been a quite special day for me. Even at Zaggle, where I work currently, I've seen the highest time where I grew the business 5 times in 2.5 years. From there, thanks to regulation, things plummeted so badly that I had to get rid of more than half of my team. But the team struggle that we have done, we've innovated, we've worked, we've thought out of the box, done things, kept perseverance behind it, and today we have there's a break even that my team has done. So very happy about that. I'm talking about. Overall, Zaggle obviously is a far more profitable company, but each of us run as entrepreneurs at Zaggle as well. And the fourth and the most critical one is P&L. If you do not have hands, vision on your cost and your cash flows, any business can go kaput. Okay? So why entrepreneur? From entrepreneurship to corporate, I think both have their pros and cons. Corporate world gives you, while I've worked with larger companies like Radio Mirchi, Tata Retail. In a larger organization, you have a structured way of working. You're working on a specific kind of a role. And then you become, there's depth in what you're doing. But as an entrepreneur, you have to learn to do everything. Okay, you're learning. Learning is the key thing in entrepreneurship. Fortunately, despite me moving on from Engage for More, and we had to move on because when bankruptcy happened, again, to stay perseverant, stability is important. And from stability point of view, I think between me and my husband, we took a call that my husband will continue with Engage for More, and fortunately now it's doing really, really well. And I moved on to bring stability to the family. So that's why I moved on back to the corporate world, but moved into another startup. So the startup hustle, my learning of what an entrepreneurship is, kept me going, and I think despite my ups and downs at Zaggle, that has again got me. So key thing is perseverance, like Farzana mentioned, and eye on balance sheets. Your cash flows are extremely critical. Either ways, whether you're working in a startup or you're working for your own startup, hustle is going to be there. So be ready for it.
On that note, you noted, sir, you've seen startups both as an investor and on the inside as a CFO. From that dual perspective, what patterns have you noticed in ventures that fail versus those that don't?
Sure. In fact, I'll probably give a slight context. So when I started my career, I came out of Ahmedabad. This was 20 years ago. I've seen almost 50 entrepreneurs where, with private equity fundraise, IPO, follow on. So I've seen several entrepreneurs from close quarters in that sense, right? What I can tell you for sure is perseverance is very, very important, right? But I'll just make it more contextual to the audience here, right? So and there was this question about corporate job versus startup versus right. I'll give the bad news, guys. Look, the world is going to be much more volatile for you. It's a fact, right? Even in a steady corporate job with AI and what all is happening. When probably we started, we used to say that the world has changed. For you guys, it's like change is an understatement in some sense, right? So even I would say even a job is not as secure as it used to be. Let's all admit to that one thing,
right? I mean, big tech had fire, right? I mean, nobody imagined that, Amazon and Google they're sitting on trillions of market cap and, they'll, like, just let go of people, right? So the fact is that the world has come to a point where you can never be comfortable in your chair, right? Whether you're, doing a job or you're starting up, that time is kind of gone, right? Having said that, now I think in that context, coming to successful startups, right? So what I've seen is that an entrepreneur specifically, right, needs to have and it's a very common saying, a telescope in one hand and a microscope in the other, right? So he should be the one who's able to see the big picture, right? But he should also, he or she, I mean just using he for the sense of it, also need to be very, very microscopic and very, very glued into the reality on the ground. That really, really differentiates, right? I'll give the example of Dr. Shetty, right? He is the founder of Narayan Vidyalaya. When I was doing investment banking, I was on the road with him, taking 2 entrepreneurs, right? We're doing roadshow. I mean, it's back-to-back meetings, right? When you go on road shows, so for instance, you're in London, right? You'll be back-to-back. 1 hour you go to one investor, talk for 1 hour, come out, 20 minutes you have another meeting. So you keep talking and, that's what you're doing in the road shows. That guy was so passionate. I was so impressed with him. This is way back in 2014. Today, obviously, video call, etc. is very easy. He used to come out of meetings, take out his phone and guide his doctors on some surgery which is going on, some heart surgery, right? That is the kind of passion he had for, the thing which he was doing, which is, cardiac surgery, right? So passion is obviously a given, right? But I also say that what I've seen is, and I think that's kind of changing, right? I think in India, I've seen entrepreneurs who, my personal view, who actually work in a corporate setting first and then did their funding, right? It's not a written rule anywhere. I mean, Vishal is the founder of Goki, where he's a serial entrepreneur, he never worked, right? So there are always exceptions, right? But I think working for first few years actually gives you that discipline as well, and a very good reality check. Because what happens a lot of time is when you're young, you think it's an idea, it's a brilliant idea, and I'll do it. The fact is that probably 10 other corporates have already thought through the idea, did something, did a pilot, figured out it's not working out, whatever, and it's actually it's not a good idea, right? So I think having a real feel on the ground also is important than vision. Passion is a given. You cannot do anything nowadays without that.
Okay. So most of you spend significant time working in corporate before founding your own startup. So looking back, was that sequencing beneficial, or if you could go back to when you founded your own startup, would you have chosen a different path? It's to all of you.
Can you repeat the question, sorry?
Okay, was the sequence beneficial from going from corporate to startup, or would you have chosen a different path for yourself?
If you could go back to that.
In that.
By what?
So,
Go ahead. If I go back to my Citibank days, I probably would have started 10 years back. I mean, I worked with Citibank over 16 odd years, and I learned a lot. The bank is cutthroat. I think companies are not talking about it. Foreign bank is like really cutthroat. Your job is never secure. And you work in treasury, one of the most volatile treasury and investment banking, one of the most volatile jobs, right? But still, I would say if I go back, I would have probably started 10 years back. Okay, because after 7-8 years working in a corporate, you broadly understand what works or doesn't work. And what Rohit said just to add, other than passion, perseverance is ability. What will work, which will not work, it is completely beyond your control. When I was in city, I was thinking that we will do ABC, and we started ABC, nothing worked. None of the ABC worked. And agility is very important. We started doing X, Y, Z, and the entire team did it. It worked much better than we imagined. And in the most riskiest phase in COVID, we were about to die. There is no money in hand, zero. In March, we had some, I will just put numbers like less than 1 crore rupees to run a startup with some 40, 50 people now. And many of them are drawing some salary, IIT, ISB, a lot of engineers, a lot of guys, first generation graduate guys are working to take care of them. By June, July, you realize there is nothing. So you change our business model. Instead of we delivering solar solution to end consumer, we enable small time entrepreneurs, they are already delivering solutions, right? The best software, IoT product, we designed in starting from October, November, December. And first time we became profitable from zero in 2021. First time we became profitable without having money in 20, that COVID year. And the 6th year we are profitable. We never imagined that with zero, we reached 100 crore. And in August, September, it was zero. There's nothing left with us. And we sold something, even India government stayed, that's an institute, who bought that from us. That's brilliant, that you can control every project remotely. And if somebody doesn't take it, you can switch off even from a mobile. And people bought that license. And we did Bombay's largest rooftop project in LBS Mark in COVID. We all became labor. From banker, IITian, ISBN, who worked in corporate, we decided to become labor and the first time become profitable. That agility is very, very important. That something does not work, you have to accept failure. And I give you one more example. When you say meet investors, that is the model we do it. Then many of them don't like because my perception and the investor perception should be different, right? They want to multiply money as quickly as possible. And again, with you respect, they want to ride a bus which will run faster, right? And my bus may stop, I know it, because I know that there is no fuel, right? So it may not work. So we made 8, 10 people, 20 people, then what happened when you made 21? Take a guess. They also said no. Okay. So 20 people said no, and we made that 20 person no. Which was the company we decided not to raise money. Even today, we have decided not to raise money, and we'll see what investors is bringing, what we are bringing. We may grow little slower, but as we said, few $1 million PAT companies at this stage without raising money is very rare. Now we are negotiating what can be done, right? We have a better position today because of COVID. And COVID is thing was like you are about to die. There's nothing left, as I said. So agility is very, very important. And one last one said, we hire people to exercise. One thing we believe that zero. If you don't invest in yourself, you can't do anything for anybody else. It's a belief. So everybody, it's must in Urjan that have exercise. In Bombay, around marathon, there are running 40 people this time from Bombay office. So it's a test that your endurance, battery, kitne humko test karna hai. So something into sports. Sports, one thing is that you fail, you still go to the start line. It's not marriage, right? You fight with your spouse and again start fighting tomorrow, right? But we do the same thing. In sports, even if you fail, you go to the start line. In marathon, you will not do well, again you go to the start line. So that's one filter for us which worked brilliant for us. And as a team, I decided, I think we have to grow faster, but I think more than money, we realize that people matters more and agility matters more than anything else.
I'd just like to take more from what you just said. I mean, you've spoken about your experience of how you started and how you decided to kind of move forward with the ups and downs of it, how you kind of got to be agile. The moment you got into COVID, you knew that you had to pivot and do it a little differently. So there was a very interesting thing that happened. There was a client come to me. He just quit his job, okay, very high position, earning I think about 4.5 crores per annum, etc. Decided to quit and move into his own business, okay, and so he's taking the leap. So everyone applauded him as if he had just given freedom out of a prison. Everyone was applauding him. And then 6 months down the line, he realized that maybe prison was better. Because there was structure, there was a regiment. You could have 3 meals a day, you had rest time, whereas when you are doing your own business, there is no rest. There is no rest because as a founder, you want to do everything yourself. Yeah? And you decide your self-worth with the outcome. You decide your self-worth with the outcome. But the thing is, the outcome is never you. It can never validate what you are. And, so the corporate background helps. Because like Aarti was saying, structure. It gives you structure. It gives you discipline. It also gives you something which is called a buffer. Because money comes in periodically. As a founder, it is episodic, right? And that, I think, is something that you realize. And while it is a buffer, it gives you all of that. When you get into the, founder zone, when you start up your own company, what you realize is that you need to actually keep shifting and evolving on a daily basis. It's a daily struggle. You want to look at it as a challenge, then it's a challenge. And what you need to understand, the corporate life that you're talking about is also important. Because it tells you how to create political awareness. That means how do decisions happen in the world. You don't know if you have not been into that scenario. You also understand what is the strength that you have that you've not utilized. Corporate life gives you that. So I would say corporate life is like a finishing school. Yeah? But you need to be street smart, and for that, being your own startup, founding your own company, I think gives you both. And is one over the other? No, I think I need to get a both, because just being a finishing school doesn't get you places, right? You need to be a little street smart and use your intuition and get to where you go. So I think that is how you need to look at this. And one thing I would definitely say to if you are looking for starting your own company, is that you need to have a mentor. You need to have a mentor. Because if you don't have a mentor in those days when you tip, it's very easy to keep sliding. It's very easy to keep sliding because everyone around you is perhaps doing very well. Maybe the friends that you left off in the corporate world, they're all rising. They're probably earning, 30%, 40%, they're shifting places. And you then tell yourself, "Bhai, मैंने तो इतना कमाया नहीं जितना मैं छोड़ के आया, या जितना छोड़ के आई." You always be in that. Therefore, you need someone who's like a sounding board, who's like this person behind you, who has your back and says, "You know what? Get up." Just like you would in fitness. Yeah, you can't get a great body by just doing it by yourself. You need to have someone who tells you, "Hey, you know what? This is how you do the reps." So that's what I would definitely urge each one of you. If you're looking forward to deciding whether corporate or doing it on your own, I think there's advantage in both, and if you marry both, I think
Okay, while they've covered most of it, one critical thing that I would love to add here, when you start, even if you choose to, and I think it is a good idea to start in the corporate world, because why not learn at someone else's expense? So, why take that bet by yourself? Firstly. Secondly, choose, since you are about to start your careers, choose roles in an organization that will give you more learning rather than the designations. Because the learning is going to stay with you and it's going to help you when you want to go and take the punch of starting your own venture. So learn at someone else's cost, earn at someone else's cost, save so that you can create that buffer when you want to start and have a little stability when you start up. You have your own startup.
No, I'll come later.
So I think I said this. I think you should definitely do a job first, right? Purely for the learning part of it, because what happens is when you're out of college, a lot of things are still notions in your head. When you actually work in a setting, a lot of those things kind of dislocate in some sense, right? What I also say is when you're doing a job, right, learning is very, very important. But also try to talk to a lot of people there, right? While you will be put in one specific division under one specific person doing one very specific task, right? But try to talk to different people, understand what is their role, what are they doing, how are things happening in their division. That is a real learning. That you will not be able to get in any textbook, any course, anything, right? understanding how, because you see, look, so what happens, I'll also give a very kind of a comparison, right? So being in a job, particularly in a large company, is like you're part of a large structured army, right? Cavalry. So there'll be foot soldiers, there'll be guys on the horse, there'll be, the king, whatever, right? Whereas if you're at a startup or you're building your own startup, it's like ninja warfare, right? I mean, you're just going somewhere, sneakingly doing something. It's a different, ball game altogether. But so one is obviously DNA, not everyone has a DNA for this or this, right? But learning is very, very important. So I think when you're doing a job, try to learn as much as possible. I'll also say the good news now. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, it used to be like a full stop to your. If someone starts up and fails, it was like in some sense like a full stop to their career, right? That has changed for sure, right? Doing a job first will give you some amount of experience and talent that you can always try to come to a job also. That has actually happened. In fact, at our case, particularly in my team, I preferred to hire some people who were working, who know their stuff. Then they started on their own, didn't work out, and now they want to come back, right? Because they've seen both sides of the world. And particularly for a startup, if you want to hire, that kind of people are really, really, I would say beneficial, right? Because they've seen the structured side, they've seen the unstructured side, and for a startup, they are, perfect guys. So it gives you some kind of insurance if you first do a job.
So let me leave the odd one out on the table, okay? Well, everybody has said why should you do a job and then do a startup. At Venture Group, you guys are very, very firm in creating entrepreneurs. That's what we believe in. How many of you come from a business background family? How many of you guys are from Gujarati, Marwadi, Sindhi community? Nothing. Just trying to understand the audience. Fantastic. You guys already know how to do this. Job करने की जरूरत नहीं. है जरूरत नहीं. You come from a business background family. You guys talk business. You guys in business in your homes. क्या जरूरत है? Your dad, your mom, they are involved in day-to-day business activities. You guys I'm sure a lot of you guys go to your office only if you have a family or business, right? तुम job करेंगे नहीं करना. Go to your own business. There are so many things to be done in your own business. Yeah? Pick up that. Probably your dad, your mom, whoever was doing that business, okay, your family, who was doing that business, has been running that business for a number of years, right? Why don't you jump in and say, I come in with a fresh thought process, with a fresh blood. Improvise what you guys are doing. You guys are the AI guys, yeah? Your dad and mom don't know what AI is. Can you get the AI? I'm just giving an example here, okay? There are so many things to be done. Entrepreneurship is difficult, but for you guys, you already have a running business, so which means it's not that difficult. What difficult it is for somebody who comes from a salaried background or a family background who does not have financial support. You guys have all the financial support. You guys are studying in NMIMS, right? ऐसा है तो यहाँ पे पढ़ रहे हैं ना. You guys are not studying in some government schools. Don't fear, right? Entrepreneurship is all about overcoming the fears, right? Learn fast. Fall down, get up again, learn again, move on. That's what entrepreneurship is about. So don't, but for anybody of you who does not have a financial backing, then take up a job. But if you guys already have a running business, come from Gujarati, Marwadi, Sindhi communities, nothing against any other community. But you guys are half businessmen, abhi to ho hi hua, half entrepreneurs abhi se ho. So entrepreneurship is not that bad to start off with also. That's what I want to say.
Just to also say something to what Ivan has just mentioned. We all think the career ladder is straight. We all think we just have to keep moving up and then we keep, getting to different levels and we just keep moving up. But the point is, today the environment has become so hooked up, right? It's so volatile. So many things are happening as we speak. I think what we need to look at is how many of you have done jungle gym when you were kids? There are some people. Yeah. Yes. So basically, you can Google it. You can, definitely. So it's not a ladder. It's like this. It's like a gym. which has these scaffolding, and you just keep moving from one place to the other. You climb up and then you keep moving from here and there, and you just use your power. It's become like that. That is the world you are in. It is not straight. It is all like this. That's what you said. I mean, you can get into the corporate world, go into entrepreneurship, come back into corporate back, or you can go back into entrepreneurship. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is, the mindset that you have has to be of a person who is ready to give it all, even though there is not a safety net. Okay? How do you do it with dignity? How do you do it with your own conscience, saying, you know what, I am doing my best. Don't look at what he is doing, what he is doing, what she is doing. Look at what you are doing, and are you moving further? And if you are not, have the gumption to reach out to someone and say, you know what, I think I'm not doing something right. Can you help? Can you help? Because if you're not asking for help, yeah, you will only be going down a precipice. So, it's a lonely journey at many times, whether you are a senior leader somewhere or you are in your own business, it is a lonely journey. Okay? And you have to do it yourself. And if you have to do it yourself, कोई harm नहीं है, कोई शर्मिंदगी नहीं है, किसी को पूछना कि नहीं हो रहा है. Can you help? You'll be surprised. There are so many people out there who will be ready to hold your hand and say, you know what, I know how it feels, come, let me do it. Let me do it. And it's okay to fail. Absolutely. But fail forward. That is important. Fail. Failure is good. Fail, the opposite of failure is not success, it is avoidance. When you avoid it, you are not moving where you're meant to be. So ask for help. कोई शर्मिंदगी नहीं. And go back to something if you feel it's not working for you. दिल कहता है नहीं ये मेरे लिए नहीं है. It's okay. Go back. कोई शर्मिंदगी नहीं है. We get into this judgment mode or this thing कि लोग क्या कहेंगे. मैंने भी इस पे किया है, फिर मुझे लोग बोलेंगे कि देखा, couldn't do it, ना हो पाएगा. Forget it. This is all ambient noise. This is all ambient noise, and it has got nothing to do with who you are and what you can achieve. Okay?
Just to add to what these guys are saying, sorry, but this topic is a very delicate one. I think a lot of you guys here, are going to be job creators for future, and that's what I see. Why? Because you guys are second generation entrepreneurs or business people. Yeah? You are not the people who have to struggle. Roti karna makan ka aapka problem nahi hai. That's all sorted by your family. Now you have the runway ready. Just take the flight and start flying. Now fall down, get up, enjoy your life. That's okay. Roti karna makan mountain mein bana kar pura zindagi khaoge na, to bhi kam nahi lega utna mere ko malum hai na. So why not enjoy life? Why not do something bigger? Right? That's what I want to say.
I just want to add one thing from what she said. While it is perfectly fine that failure is a set thing in entrepreneurship. There is no entrepreneur who's got it right in the very first go. Absolutely done. But I've come across people, okay, in corporate world, side by side working, and they said that I will try for 2 years and see if I can make it. You will never make it. If you start with this mindset that I will try for 2 years, I'll try for 5 years, otherwise I'll go back. If you have a backup plan, don't even venture into entrepreneurship because it will never happen. Give it your everything. Only then does it happen. If you think that I will always have an exit route, forget it.
I have something bad, okay? See, the job market is very volatile, but look at this room. India has about 6 lakh villages and few thousand cities. And believe me, in economy or like social exposure, you are the top 5% of the country. Sitting in this room, you are sitting in the AC room, in top 5%. When you start to live with you. So if you have a family business, if you join, your parents will say, "Yeah, do the chat." They may not listen to you. So depends if they receptive you and join them. All you do, there is no good time of that time. Only thing, there is no procrastination. Again, I go back to exercise. The person who exercise, they don't think, they do it. Nobody asks them to do it. And the ultra marathoner, I was in Chikmagalur. After meeting at time, the forest 50 kilometers he ran. Nobody asked me to run. Right? So no procrastination. If you believe you can do it, that's one. Second thing is there is no strategy. After doing an MBA also, I believe strategy is overabused. Abused or used word. Action is the only strategy. The Excel sheet never works. Action is the only strategy. You please do it, no procrastination. Just do it with the best look. I mean, tagline, the Nike tagline, just do it is the best. Okay, just do it. When you do it, you please sign it. But you are in top 5% in terms of socio-economic exposure in top 5%. If you don't do it, who will do it? If you want to get a job, who will get a job? So in long run, when the market is volatile, the job market is volatile, it's your job to do it. Okay, you have a mandate to do it. Because as a country, they put you in the top 5% bucket in terms of exposure, you have to do it, right? So action is the strategy, only strategy, no procrastination, you have to do it. Second thing with respect to investor again, in college में जब engineering में थे कोई girl इतने smile at me ऐसा एक मेरे को प्रेम होने वाला है, but वो smile नहीं थी, उससे तुमसे बोलेगा तेरा नहीं है, तो उसको smile नहीं होगा, हमें smile नहीं हो गया, right? So don't take investors seriously. As I said, we dated, sorry for using the language, 20 investors, and none of them invested, right? Now we are investors, we also raise some money. So who will align with you and who will believe? I met one guy in Silicon the last day. I met him in the washroom. We were just exiting the washroom and he was also there. He said, GD, people know me as a GD is Govindas. He knew what you are doing. In 2 minutes, explain what I'm going to do. And that guy could not do this. Okay? And that guy is the only wealthiest investor in my company as of now. And the Excel sheets, analysis, paralysis, I'm also a banker, investment banker, corporate banker. We do a lot of investment, Excel. For you also Excel doesn't work, for them also it doesn't work. For them also it doesn't work, right? So investor will take the pinch of salt because without that you can't have the fuel. But you don't be insecure that if somebody doesn't give you money, you're not going to succeed, right? So you keep doing your job. Be very, very agile. Something doesn't work, it's fine. Saying no, it's absolutely fine, and we'll try, right? So action is the only strategy, and it's not only in the volatile markets, it's your duty to create job. So and you can do it. Believe me, with your exposure, if you are fearless, you can do it. कितने भी volatile doesn't matter, you do it because variable. आपने ये पढ़ाई किया, हाथ पैर सब ठीक ठाक है, मोटा मोटा तो कर लेंगे. और if you are agile, somebody will come and pay you money, right? Who will pay you money? We don't know. And if somebody doesn't pay you money, whose loss you don't know. Don't be in depression. It could be their loss, it could be your loss. You keep doing the journey, and I'm sure things will come out. It's not for a weak mind. And sometimes you see other topic, I think whatever the bit is the billionaire versus what reality is, right? Grass on the other side always green, but वो कितने पानी और कितने खाद दिया आपने देखा नहीं, right? Persistence, tenacity, endurance is the game. So लगे रहो, and these are objectives that you have to build something yourself. Don't rely on what your family has built, or from there you can start onwards. But you just do it. So if you want to do that, that's Nike tagline is just do it. Whenever you believe you can do it. But डर के कल क्या होगा सोचिए, don't think about it because you have I think reasonably everybody's going to background and you're not going to die. You're not going to you not get a job. It's not like that, right? Depends. And an entrepreneur, if you believe you will have Starbucks coffee every day versus the road cutting chai, so your expense and expectation you have to manage. And in life, reality is equal to in mathematical equations is equal to reality minus expectation. Happiness is equal to reality minus expectation. If your expectation is high, happiness will be negative. If you reality, that's a math you have to balance, right? So please do that. Only you can do it. And I keep saying one sloka from Gita. So I'm not a religious guy, but I'm a spiritual guy. In Gita 6.5, which is written few thousand years back, इसका लुधरे आत्मानं अवसादे आत्मैव आत्मना बंधु आत्मैव गुरात्मा. It says few thousand years back that you are your best friend. I can explain Krishna, Arjuna is different. That may be controversial, but it's good teaching is you are your best friend. You are your best enemy. Nobody can put you down. Nobody can put you up. You are the guy. You are the driver of the bus. Please drive, and you can do it.
Thank you to all our panelists for sharing such insightful and useful things about risk, careers, and financial realities. We have covered substantial ground, but I'm certain many of you have questions. So we now open the floor to you.
It's a ragging session.
Okay, thank
thank you, panelists, for this opportunity. So I think all of you spoke about challenges and survival in the startup culture. And Gautam sir, you talked about acceptance of failures, crises like COVID. Devang sir, you talked about persistence. And Alvi ma'am, you gave us the 4 P's of entrepreneurship, in which you spoke about purpose and perseverance. But now in real life, a lot of times a startup might not exactly be in the best position. And as a founder, you will push yourself to give it your everything, right? But how do you figure out when to keep going and when to stop? In such.
You guys looking for it?
I mean, should I? Oh, sorry, please.
Yeah, should I take this question?
There are fascinating. Keep talking. Anyway.
See again, so there's a very line between until when should I continue and when should I stop. Okay? Life में दो टाइम आप extreme risk ले सकते हैं. That's what I think. ठीक है? First is हारने के लिए कुछ नहीं है. इससे ज़्यादा और बुरा क्या होगा? ठीक है? ऐसे पोजीशन पे होंगे कि यहाँ से नीचे जाने के लिए कुछ नहीं है मेरे पास. That time you can take the biggest risk in your life. ठीक है? You have nothing to lose. And the second time that you can take the biggest risk is even if you lose 50% of your net worth, आपका बाकी का जिंदगी चल जाएगा. Yeah? That is how you need to take risks. To answer your question, when should I stop or keep continuing until I succeed? Again, it's completely up to you. Yeah? How much money do you have in your pocket? What background do you carry? Are you married, not married? Do you have children to take care of? Do you have a family to take care of? What background do you come from? Well, see again, as an entrepreneur, it's not only about you, it's about a lot of other people. There's your team which works for you in your office, and there's a bigger team back at home who's waiting for you to succeed in life. Right? And that's what you have to manage. And then, again, what happens here is, what you're selling to everybody is only dreams at this point in time. You don't have money in your pocket. Even to your team at office and team at home, the only thing that you're selling is dreams. कल मैं बड़ा बनूंगा, है ना? बनूंगा नहीं बनूंगा पता नहीं, it's only a dream, right? सपना है. वो पाएगा आगे, नहीं हो पाएगा पता नहीं. So that's where you need to decide कितना खींच सकते हो. That's what I feel. Each its own.
So from personal experience, I want to say that when shit happens, okay, and shit happens in every business, उस time पे like you have to decide that, like you mentioned that और कितना अब तो और नीचे गिर नहीं सकते. That's the rock bottom that I've done. Nothing worse can happen. From here it's only upwards. I can't do anything below this. You need to have a support system around you that will tell you that it's okay, we are with you. Because if the support system around you also pulls you down, that weight becomes way too much. And I think somewhere, Gautam, I can say that Nishant was very lucky. So,
You got a working wife.
so I took the choice, I took the part of going back to corporate world so that there is stability in the family. So that engage for more doesn't die. That's something that I had to give up. But engage for more cannot die. So that kept going and engage for more was up. So at least build that safety net around you, people who can support you as well.
But very impressive that you note and ask relevant question, right? So you have that endurance, you can probably start tomorrow only. Okay? Sort of like, I mean, if you see, we talk about Moksha, what is Moksha in life actually, right? The fun of winning and the sadness of losing, when you accept both, and you are balanced, that's the Moksha in life. So what is failure? If you start something, it doesn't work. It's an iteration, it's not in. You may take a job, you do some different business, you can iterate, you can educate yourself again, you can go for study, anything you can do. So end is the start line. So there is no end. Okay? I'm just saying with spirit, like even as I said, we have gone to a stage there is nothing, right? If my wife doesn't keep me, I have to go out, right? Nothing, that's the stage. I'm saying there's no money man, right? So cutting chairs is also okay, Starbucks is also okay, Mocha is also okay. So both are fine. That's Moksha, right? And if you felt it, you start something. It's about isolation only. And you have like, if you are like say close to 20, you have like 70 more years to iterate, right? And you're the educated guy. Don't despair at everything. It's another start line, it's not end line.
Okay, so moving on to the next question from the audience.
So a lot of panelists here, you work in the corporate world and then get working into entrepreneurship. So would you recommend that since we are in college, we don't have a backup per se. So would you recommend working for a few years, getting experience and getting those sort of connections and then jumping into the entrepreneurship?
Yes, we spoke about, I think we spoke about it, that corporate life gives you structure, gives you discipline, there's a buffer, and you understand how the political awareness is, how decisions are taken in an organization. And like she said, you learn from somebody else's expense. So there's two ways of thought, like he also mentioned, that if you already have an entrepreneur background in the family, it would still make sense to get into the corporate. I personally would say, because you get that structure and you start using it in your father's or your parents' business, your parents' business. And but what is important out here is one more thing I think what founders, startups also need to do is network. Because यहाँ पे अपने घर में अपने ऑफिस में बैठ के कुछ होने वाला नहीं, सिर्फ Zoom meetings करके कुछ होने वाला नहीं. So you need to build your network. Your network is what? It's the goodwill that you've sown in various places. Yeah, they can be the support system, the safety net that comes to your aid when you are not sinking. I would say that's too maudlin a thought. But you're not really, you're wobbling. Because let's face it, जहाँ पे income कम होती है, वहाँ पे confidence wobble होता है, isn't it? And that is what you need. So the corporate environment gives you that confidence to charge forward with a little more, agility, with a little more thought in how you run your own company. So I think that is primarily the thing.
So if you are joining a company to earn money, then don't do it. I can tell you one thing. I mean, I come from a remote village. My parents used to farm, and every year like flood and everything used to wipe out, but they kept doing it. So I learned then how to survive. But say I have no background, business background, but I value my experience in Citibank a lot. How to deal with multiple issues at the same time, and as I said, treasury is a very high-paced job. Just to give numbers, you get 200 calls in a day. Okay, you smile, you get angry, switch off, and again you smile, right? And you deal with multi-million deals. So in corporate, you learn multiple things. You take pressure, corporate politics, finance, accounting, HR, people equation, dynamics, how do you survive in politics, right? I'm not saying it's not about Citibank politics. So to learn, for me, I needed a base. So for that, exposure is more important than the money. If you are insecure about money, I don't think you're the right person to start something, because there will be definitely a situation. There will be no resources, there are minimal resources, right? So if you don't have much business exposure, then you work for experience, because you get multiple aspects of business. I can give an example. For example, I'm an engineer, can I make a chair which can massage me? It can. But if I target students, will you pay me? आपको तो 20 रुपया 50 रुपया 100 रुपया मिलते हो, पैसे दोगे नहीं. So to relate to business versus product, that very product market fit or whatever you fit, that in corporate will learn it. Just if I sell for example, complex financial product to a small SME, they will not buy, but large corporate will buy. So for any exposure you to work in a company, I think that's very, very important. But if you work for only money, and that's a primary objective, please don't work. Because it's not good work in long term. You have to survive 70 more years. So money as a primary objective, money is always a byproduct. And job market, believe me, job market is never a push market. I want a job, you give me a job, doesn't work. I have a work. If you do that job, it's a pull market. Okay, so people will hire you for pull, not for your push. But your objective is to learn. And learn, to fit it into your long-term goal.
And let me ask a question here. How many of you guys want to do your startup at some point in time in life? Very good, fantastic. I love the audience. I'm just loving the audience for you. I think that's the right mindset. Yeah. If you guys are people who want to build your own legacy, right? Entrepreneurship is for you. Okay. If you want to build someone else's legacy, take up a job. That's very clear. ठीक है? पैसा है तो बड़ी बातें. पैसा है तो लंबी रातें. पैसा है तो 5-star सारी मुलाकातें. You know the song, right? It's all about money. And you have to take the risk.
It doesn't tell any. You have to clarify you are a dark guy or a girl or not.
Then I have a last question to anyone on the panel is, if you don't mind sharing one incident where you thought in your business if you made a mistake, and what was that mistake you thought you made, and how did you mitigate that, if you want to share one incident. Maybe
Everybody
can take that up, or
वो तो एक्सेल सीट है,
Uh,
एक्सेल सीट है.
Yeah, we'll start from that side. I will last. No, we'll start from that.
take it up.
No, I'll go last. As usual, I'll go last. I come with a good example. Yeah, let's.
I can give only one. I believe I'm very driven. Well, I do everything myself, and a lot of things I do, it's the biggest mistake. I mean, as a team, if you try to do everything, you are the bottleneck. The company's growth become capped at your ability. It doesn't work. So I believe I'm very proud of the guy who used to sell ice cream, now selling close to 100 crore. Because of him, we collectively better. Similarly, one guy from the Sangli village, again IITian, Villa Parisar to IITian, and I think he's. So you are always additive. The starting is additive. It's not about you. You are a founder. If you believe that you still have ego that I do myself, I'll control something. That's the biggest mistake. That's early stage. I want to think that I do a lot of work. That doesn't work. You have to collectively do a lot of work. Because some total is the company, not ego alone. So you are as good or as bad your team, nothing else.
I would say, and in general also, right? See, technical mistakes you could still correct and figure out some solution, whatever, right? But I think people mistakes sometimes are the bigger one. I mean, it can, having the right people with you in the team can make you grow fast, achieve what you really want, or having bad people can actually take you back, right? Also, what I've seen is that, and increasingly that's true even for people who are just taking up a job, right? I think if you are hiring someone just because you are paying a higher salary, trust me, they'll go also because someone else should pay a higher salary, right? So whenever as an entrepreneur you hire, make sure there is some amount of resonance with what you're building in the person you're hiring, right? And look, I mean, that obviously comes by experience, because you have to have people see what happens, right? You have to see through that the person actually is genuinely interested in what you're doing, right? That I would say would be one of the biggest things. And I've seen it by the way, even as an investor, right? So what happens is that while some business or entrepreneur might really look good, right? But if he's there only for the money, I mean, they might take some shortcut, corporate governance may not be up to the mark or whatever. I mean, those things you might figure out later, right? So I think I would say, people think is something we should really be careful.
I would say health over hustle. So when I started my journey, I moved from advertising and I pivoted into coaching and training. So president of the Pune, I was the one, right? So I was pitching, I was creating decks, I was conducting the work, doing the coaching, everything. And I was also networking with people at the same time so that more people knew about me, more people would spread the word about me. And I done with great pride, as if it was like a badge of honor. I would tell my friends, I haven't slept 2 nighs. Because I was sending out these pitch decks to so many people, so that people work together. And I'm an asthmatic, this is like the worst that I can do for myself. I actually had a terrible asthma attack where it was almost like, will she survive or will she not? Okay? And that's when it hit me that when we start our businesses, we all think, hustle is awesome. Hustle is the way. But we forget that hustle is actually, if it's leading to exhaustion, there is no pride in it. There is no pride in it. And today I've come to and this I think is the biggest mistake. A lot of people when we start, because we are doing everything ourselves, we are more passionate than anyone else. And we also, one very important thing that we forget is we have family. It could be parents, it could be children, it could be spouses. We always keep them aside because in the business, बढ़ाना है, business चलाना है, and we are always shortchanged. And I think this is one big learning that we have is nothing will sustain if you don't have this inner circle with you, who's always there, because everyone else will go away, but this circle will always remain with you. And nothing is bigger than your health, because jaan hai. So I think to me that is a complete non-negotiable. I do not work on a weekend. I do not work after 8 o'clock. I don't take any calls. Nobody calls. My phone is on silent at all the times. Yeah. It's very important.
I was in Ahmedabad till 12 o'clock last night. and just ensure that I slept for 6 and 7 hours, and morning I was down swimming or running, and then so depends on your battery and depends on age group. जिस एज ग्रुप में प्रेजेंटेशन बनाना है, पीपीटी बनाना है, उस एज में रोटी भी बना पाओगे तो आप entrepreneur हो, नहीं तो नहीं हो.
I think we need to have boundaries, and I think it's very important because eventually everything is about. I mean, let's look at this Formula One. Yeah, it's built on speed, but even they have a pit stop. So I think you need to know when your body needs rest. Because if you don't have your body rested, your mind will make you make decisions that go away from your vision. And I think that is very important. That is the barometer that you cannot miss.
So I'll just add one point. I have to write because so I'm the CFO at Goki, which is a healthcare company, right? Trust me, most of our customers are guys above 30 and 35, right? 20-plus-year-old guys are not our customers. 30-35-plus-year-old guy who's either had some chronic issue or seen some friend contracting diabetes or whatever, 90% of people, they open their eyes at that point of time. By that time, you know what, we've already crossed some stage, so for both the guys, it's not late. I mean, they can still come back and reverse diabetes and do all that stuff. But I guess having this knowledge early on that health is not a
Being aware is very
second option. It's very important. No, right.
Absolutely.
Quite different from what the others spoke. I think one of the disastrous mistakes that we made was हम एक चीज कर रहे हैं तो हम उसके साथ साथ अलग ये भी कर सकते हैं, हम वो भी कर सकते हैं, हम वो भी कर सकते हैं. Don't become an octopus. Octopus is a beautiful creature, but don't become an octopus. Focus on what you've chosen to do. Focus on one business, grow that. You want to build another business, first make that one business strong enough to be able to support the next business. Without a focused approach, it's a disaster.
Brilliant. So I have a couple of points to discuss here. Okay. Of course, so work-life balance is important. But if you guys want to be entrepreneurs, forget work-life balance. I'm being very clear. I come from the Narayana Murthy school of thought. Okay, very very clear. If you have to build something, you have to work hard. So weekend आपका friend enjoy कर पाएगा, आप नहीं कर पाओगे if you are not. He's earning salary, you are creating a legacy. That's where the difference is. People who want to create a legacy cannot take risks. Modi ji सोते नहीं, 4 घंटा ही सोते हैं. Why he wants to create something? He has a vision for himself and his country. If you have a vision for yourself and the future generation of yours, when you want to create something, then you can't enjoy those weekends. For sure. Okay, first. Talking about the mistakes, yeah, so that's what the question is. One mistake. Yeah, I don't need to talk about one mistake. I can go on, but I understand where you come from. Okay. I think one of the biggest mistakes we as entrepreneurs make is we probably over-delegate things at times. Okay, and then trust the person whom we delegated to think. Okay, it's very very important to keep control over the delegation. Why? Because delegation without adequate control is a game lost for you. तो बंदा क्या करने वाला आपने पावर ऑफ अटर्नी दे दी उसको, है ना, आपकी जायदाद that kind of thing. So delegate the responsibility to a responsible person, and then irrespective of how much control you have. Okay, for you guys are students, right? But even when your parents give you a certain amount of leeway, they still have a certain amount of control over you guys. Why? Because they know इसको मैं रातों रात करोड़ों रुपए दे दूंगा, कहाँ खर्चा करके आएगा करके आएगा पता नहीं है. That's a control that you guys always need.
So we definitely learned the pros and cons of mindset culture in Gen Z terms. So thank you for those excellent questions, and thank you to our panelists for such thoughtful responses. Now I'd like to invite our chairperson, Vansh Gura, to
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Sardanand Modi School of Economics and the youth conference team under Ka-Ching and EJCon, I would like to express a heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished panelists. Your insights on risk, career trade-offs, burnout, and the reality of converting equity into wealth has given us far more than advice. They have given us frameworks to make informed decisions about the future. For students navigating placement, entrepreneurial ambition, and career choices, this honestly is invaluable. Thank you for your time and wisdom. A sincere thanks to our team and faculty members for their unwavering support in creating an environment where such meaningful discussions can take place. Thank you all for being such an engaged audience. We look forward to seeing you all at the youth conference and all other exciting events at Ka-Ching EJCon 2026. We would now like to honor our esteemed guests with a small token of appreciation, and I would also like to call upon Isha.
Isha, you want to do this side so that we are not in the frame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm done. Hey, you guys can come this side now. Okay.
You're such an amazing audience, you know. Let's give it up for yourselves.
Moving on. Thank you.
If you could all just come ahead.
Oh, how sweet. देवांग आप वैसे करके करना है हाँ एवं नहीं करना है एवं नहीं करना है Are there only two people taking photographs?
We'll come, please take one photo, we'll come back.
We'll do self-empty with our photos and just use the camera.
Can someone do it for us? Any reason why we have been paparazzi?
If you could just do one more with the organizing committee.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to stand to light something for me all Please come.
Come together, just stand up and come ahead.
Hey, one camera at a time. I don't know.
Yeah, will be
this one,
okay.
this, okay.
Okay, you do it. I'm not going to judge you on it, huh?
You already put you on the spot.
I'm sure you do very well. Girls and boys, please smile. Yeah. She's my kind of girl. I don't know what to do.
Guys, take the photo.
Thank you.